Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Quincy McCune. I oversee all of our campus visit programs at Whitworth. And on behalf of the entire admissions office and university, we want to welcome you today. Thanks for being here with us. Of course, we wish we could be having these conversations with you in person on our campus, but we're thankful that Dr. Bert Emerson is here today to share with us a little bit about our honors program. I can see we have people logging in. So as people are getting settled into this Zoom platform, I want to make sure that you know how to interact with us today. We want to hear from you. We want to get your questions answered. So on your screen, whether you're on a computer, your phone, or some sort of tablet, you should see three icons at the bottom of your screen. The first icon is chat. It looks like a little text bubble. And we'd love for you in the chat function to type in your first and last name and where you are from. It looks like some of you have done this before and already know what I was about to say. So go ahead in the chat function, type in your first and last name and your hometown. Let's see where you guys are from today. Right, we have people from Spokane, California, Baltimore, wonderful. Tacoma, Portland, awesome. This is great. Arizona, oh, I'm a fellow Arizonan, great to see you. I know Tess, one of our admissions counselors from California. Happy to see lots of you from all over the country and world here today. Well, thanks for being with us. Okay, the second function is the raise your hand function. So go ahead and raise your hand if this is your very first webinar you've ever done. Okay, looks like 5 out of the 15 people who are here. This is the very first webinar. Glad you're here. Welcome. Those of you who have done this before, welcome back. And lastly, the Q&A function. This is probably going to be the most useful function today in order for Dr. Emerson to get your questions answered. At any point in this presentation, if you have a question, feel free to type it in the Q&A function and we'll be sure to either write back an answer to you or we'll most likely be able to answer that question live. I am going to turn off my camera right now and pass it over to Dr. Bert Emerson. Bert, thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Quincy. So yeah, my name is Bert Emerson. I am the director of the honors program. I am a professor in the English department. My specialization is in 19th century American literature and culture and politics. And so yeah, this is, it's exciting to get to speak to you. I can't see you on my screen, but I see some names up there and it's exciting to get to come together and talk to you about the honors program at Whitworth. And we'll take you through a few slides. As you can see, we do have an Instagram, Facebook. We have an online blog at whitworthhonors.org if you want to see a lot of different stories about what we've done over the past couple of years. It's a little bit, hasn't been updated in the last month or so, as I think you might understand, but yeah, check that out. So first slide. The ways to think about honors programs in colleges. I mean, a lot of honors programs in colleges were started in the 1970s from institutions large. So if you can hit it one more time, the big schools, big research universities started honors colleges to provide small liberal arts college experiences. At Whitworth, we are a small liberal arts college. If we can hit those next slide, we have those small class settings where people get to know professors. But so what should we do? We should try to provide the large research university opportunities, the sort of culture that goes with cutting edge research institutions that are trying to push knowledge forward, where students are doing research with top-notch professors who are sharing new knowledge, and to try to develop a culture in which we are trying to achieve at the highest academic levels. So the next slide, beyond just what happens at most institutions, here are some of the things that have been going on. I mean, we've only had an honors program at Whitworth for just shy of 10 years. We have been working I came into this position 2 years ago. And we are working in a lot of different areas to try to boost our student culture. We have some dorm floors as living learning communities, which I'll talk about a little more in a second. Enhanced advising, more event planning, and from a social, academic, and cultural perspective. We're trying to communicate and market these things that we're doing more effectively, whether through the university communications and marketing, whether through our own blog and Facebook and Instagram, social media, and definitely trying to highlight student success. We're also invested in boosting the academic profile for the university overall. And this is not only just about what students are doing, but we definitely want to get students involved, and because in ways that you may not get to at a larger research institution that has a lot of graduate students sort of getting in the way of that. But we also want to promote faculty scholarship as well, and to boost the overall profile. And then finally, to enhance curriculum, to make sure that we're doing cutting edge things that are involving some of the best professors we have on campus, to engage in what we call high impact practices, which will hopefully just sort of give you even more value to your academic experience. On the next slide, you'll see some things like what you might be wondering what the benefits are. Why be in the honors program if you've been admitted with the honors? Well, again, we want to provide high impact learning experiences. We want to, ideally that happens in a lot of different classes, but it's something that is a point of emphasis within the honors program. We want to offer special training, and there's a sort of 4 buzzwords that we use repeatedly, and collaboration and interdisciplinarity, having public facing orientation, and to be focused on problem solving. Our investment is figuring out the best way to use education to address things that are going on in the world. Obviously you come in and you have a major that you are focusing on, but as a liberal arts institution, we want to make sure that you're connecting the dots across your general education, to think about ways that maybe a theology class might support a STEM major, or how your social science class might be useful for a humanities major. We are very intentional about connecting those dots so that you know the full value and scope of your education overall. We have been really pushing recently the pursuit of prestigious scholarships and awards, not just to sort of fill up trophy cases, not just to sort of achieve elite status, but to really prepare students and put them on a different level when it comes to their post-undergraduate experience. I'm happy to say that part of this initiative has actually paid off within just the last couple of years. This past spring, we had 3 science and mathematics students win prestigious Goldwater scholarships. These are nationwide awards. And so we're starting to see some of the benefits of this emphasis in training. And then finally, we really like to emphasize experiential learning through off-campus programming, internship opportunities, and undergraduate research. Some of these are available to first-year students in the freshman off-campus trip scheduled for Italy this year. Obviously, some of that might be a little bit in the air at the moment, but these are things that, again, are going to get more value out of your educational experience. The next slide. So here's the big thing, you've been admitted with honors. What next? Well, we have a system in place where we actually want you to, if you've been admitted with honors, to then take the next step to actually sign up for the program. This can happen during freshman registration or at the moment that you're first on campus. We'd like to, at some point early in the process, usually when you've arrived in the fall, to connect you with an advisor who works in the honors program, one of our faculty fellows. We have these spread around so that you have representatives, maybe not necessarily in your specific major, but in something that is closely connected to what you're doing, whether in STEM or social sciences or the humanities or the fine arts or the School of Ed or School of Business. We want to encourage you to sign up for a GE 125 honors class. All students take GE 125. It's the freshman seminar, but we have a couple of specially designated honors courses. Perhaps you are interested in your residential experience. I'll talk a little more about that in a second, but that's another opportunity. But the big thing is just to get involved and figure out, like, surround yourself with other talented and motivated students who are interested in getting the most out of their educational experience from the very start. In the next slide, you'll see so what are the requirements once you're here? Now, this is we have just recently changed our curriculum in this past year. I don't know if you've heard this through the admissions process, but we have shifted our general education into something we're calling the shared curriculum. It's not a radical overhaul, but it's a little bit of a change from what we have been doing for the last couple of decades. And the honors program has adapted as well. And so here's what you need to do. We treat honors as an 18 credit minor. A lot of times people might say, well, do I want to do honors? I mean, it sounds like so much more. I got to figure out how to get 18 credits. I already want a double major, or I want to major and have a minor and do off-campus study for a semester. Can I still do honors? And the quick answer is yes, absolutely. Of these 18 credits that are required, only two of those credits fall outside of what you already have to do in anyway. The first course you need to take is a 1-credit GE 126 class, which has an honors designation. This is something that new students will be taking in the spring of their first year. We will be offering a few different GE 126H sections. What they share in common, while the topics might be different, what they share in common is this introduction to design thinking. This is a form of conceptualizing and connecting dots across your academic experience that we think is going to lay a valuable foundation of skill development for going ahead in all different types of courses in your shared curriculum as well as in your specific major. Within your shared curriculum requirements, you will need to pick up, each of these 4 categories, what we call the 4 inquiry groups, there are 3 courses that you take in each of those categories. We're asking that just one of those courses in each of those categories you take with an honors designation. So whether that's belief inquiry or culture inquiry, science or expression, that you sign up for honors courses in these and hit each of these 4 areas. Again, this is not over and above what you're already doing. This is you satisfying shared curriculum requirements, but doing them in honors courses. And then the 2 extra credits that you will do on top of this are what we like to think of as the motivated project, where in your junior year, before I get to that, there was one other honors course requirement, upper division, that you need to take of your choosing, and often this will come in your major. Then finally, these last 2 credits, the motivated project and then the honors exhibition. This is where we want you to work on how you would develop your own individual project and then the actual execution of those projects. So those are probably going to be something that happens in your junior and senior years. Again, 18 credits, only 2 of which are over and above things that you already have to do when you're on campus. We just want you to do it within the honors program. And the next slide. One of the things I've mentioned a couple of times, but I want to emphasize, one of the really exciting developments we started 2 years ago, which we're in the 2nd iteration now, is creating these dorm floor experiences where you can be put on a floor with other honors program students and engage in a 1-credit problem-solving focused seminar that takes on issues that the group decides together once you're on campus. We have seen remarkable accomplishments from these groups who come and live together and learn together in their first semester. When you are getting your housing registration forms, you should see the honors dorm floor as one of the options, and really want to encourage you to think about that if you really want to dive all the way in right away. The one other thing I want to emphasize as well, in another opportunity besides these living learning communities in the dorm floors, on the next slide, is one of maybe the best thing that I think that we offer at Whitworth overall, and that is these experiential learning opportunities We have this special relationship with the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., which is the world's largest research institution. We often think of the Smithsonian as just like these 19 museums in Washington, D.C. and New York City, when in fact, like it is one of the leading research institutions in the world. And we have a relationship with them where we can place 10 to 12 student interns working with these world-class researchers in areas that are related to students' courses of studies. This is an amazing opportunity that we have. We have other connections with best semester programs in Oxford and Los Angeles at a film institute, and Middle Eastern studies in Australia, kind of all over the world. But that Smithsonian opportunity is one that we really are proud of, that we have seen amazing transformative experiences from. Students have just been so impressed with these different things. And again, one of the great benefits of being part of the program. So that's sort of the highlight reel of what honors is all about. That's sort of my pitch. There's a lot more to it, but maybe I'd pause here and open it up to see what kind of questions you guys might have for me.
Yes, great, Bert. Thank you so much. Feel free, all of you, to send in any questions that you might have clarifying or going deeper beyond what Bert had said in his presentation. But we did get a couple questions in, and I also had a couple questions that I thought would be good to clarify. So someone asked how and when they should register for the honors program, which you covered, but I wanted to clarify for students who maybe just want to take a couple honors classes or go on the honors trip, do they need to fill out that form as well?
No, honors program opportunities are open and classes are available to all Whitworth students. None are exclusive. The only thing that is maybe that dorm floor or residence hall opportunity. But it is you are welcome to sign up for any of these experiences. We probably will get, if there is a competitive application pool for, say, the Smithsonian program, we will give priority to honors program students. But to date, we have had students who are not in the honors program who have already done that program.
Okay.
As far as filling out the form, it is as simple as adding a major or minor. It is not a difficult form, and it is a very easy process.
Okay, great. And actually following up on that, someone has asked where they find that form to join the honors program.
Yeah, I think when you will, in your freshman registration, if when you have your conversation with the faculty advisor, that will be a time when you can say, I want to sign up for the honors program. If for some reason it doesn't happen at that point, it's easy to do at really any point. You can, it's a form that we can give you on day one, and you can walk over to the registrar's office and submit.
Great. Okay. How many students are in the honors program?
Well, this kind of varies a little bit. I would say that we regularly admit 100 to 150, or have 100 to 150 students matriculate who have been admitted with honors. Among those, we often have anywhere from 60 to 75 sort of sign up for these GE 126 or 125 honors sections, who express interest, who are getting involved, figuring out how they want to spend their time. I would say that, we have anywhere from 30 to 50 per class who really are committed to it and want to see it all the way through. I think ultimately at the end of the day, our goal is to graduate about 10% of the graduating class of, say, 500. So that would put us in the department of around 50. That would be a great number. Again, we just started not too many years ago, and so we are about to graduate a cohort of 15 students. We're not at the numbers yet in terms of finishing all the way through. Not from the overly difficult sort of process, but for a variety of other reasons. At this point, I would say among the freshman and sophomore classes, we have about 40 to 50 strong who are looking to complete the program on track. So.
Great. Okay, someone is asking if you are a transfer student and have already taken a freshman seminar class, would you have to take the honors freshman seminar to be part of the program? And I would say
Yeah,
maybe on top of that, if you want to just expand on the transfer scenario.
yeah, one of the things that we've set up for transfers is depending on how many credits you transfer in, the number of credits required to complete the program go down. So if you transfer in 30 credits, I believe that you only are required to satisfy 12 requirements or 12 credits to complete the program. Or if you have 60 credits that you transfer in, then you only have to complete 9. And we haven't finalized what on our old system. We had it set up where you needed to spread those out over a couple of different things. With our new shared curriculum, we haven't finalized what those would be. But at the end of the day, I think with any student, transfer or first year, like our goal would be to talk to you and figure out which parts of the program we want you to participate in that will be to your advantage. This is where the advising becomes such an essential part, because you know what's the best course for a transfer student in business versus a transfer student in the sciences or in the humanities. These all might involve different things, and so we want to maintain a lot of flexibility, but we want to plug you into the right 9 credits worth of work that you do in order to get the most out of the program.
Great, great. Okay. This is a great question as you continue to mention the new shared curriculum. Is the belief inquiry a theology course? Or maybe just if you could expand a little bit on how you see those honors classes in each of those categories.
Yeah, so the belief inquiry involves, I don't remember the exact designations, but basically it involves 3 different types of courses. And those 3 categories, one is our traditional core class program, which hopefully you've heard about, which are these core 150, 250, 350. That's one of the options, and those are probably the ones that will have honors opportunities right away. Those are Western civilization courses. 150 deals with worldviews, 250 with rationalist philosophies, and 350 with practical application. These larger lecture classes have discussion groups, and an honors version of those courses are an honors discussion group. So you are paired with other honor students who are going deeper with that course material maybe than what you would get in other discussion groups. There's also the BibLit requirement, the biblical literature requirement that there will be honors offerings in. There's also one of our new categories of classes is called Faith, Reason, and Contemporary Issues. And these new category of courses are really cool interdisciplinary courses that I think there'll be honor offerings in. So you might have some theology classes that have honors designations that would satisfy that belief inquiry group, but you have others that are sort of part of our core, as well as others that do integrate faith and reason and contemporary issues, but not in a strictly theological sense.
Great. Okay, lots more questions. This is great. Keep them coming. Someone is asking, do you think more than one honors class per semester would be too much? Or how would you say honors classes should be balanced across the 4 years?
Yeah, I think if you thought of those like 4 honors courses among the 4 inquiry groups, if you took 1 course per semester, say you took an honors core class 1 semester, and another semester you took an honors writing 1 section, and then another you took an honors cultural studies course. That might be a great way to spread out those courses. But one thing I would say is that there's no reason not to take 2 honors courses in 1 semester. The honors courses are not supposed to offer, we haven't designed it to just be more work or harder work, but rather a different kind of work where we are, again, in these high impact learning experiences, you are doing project-based learning, developing those, the collaborative, interdisciplinary, public facing sort of gestures. And so like I teach a first year humanities course in literature where we spent about 8 or 9 weeks having, great conversations about literature engaged with social reform across history. And then we actually go into the Whitworth archives and develop this archival research study, which, first year students hardly ever get to do, but it's a way that we expose people to new skills and new opportunities, and hopefully light a fire. Again, not in a way that's necessarily more work, but just ways that, you start thinking about yourself and your goals more deliberately from the start.
Great. Okay. If you have already gotten your AA through Running Start, does that change the required classes? And I'm guessing that means roughly 60 credits.
Yeah, if you have those 60 credits, then that lowers the threshold to 9 credits required. And again, it would somewhat depend upon your individual major. If you are in business or in sciences, these things, like if you're in the sciences, we're going to want to get you into a professor's lab as quickly as possible. We're going to want to get you, doing undergraduate research and hopefully like writing papers and getting publications after doing these lab experiments with professors. If you're in the School of Business, maybe it's an internship opportunity where you are getting practical business. Maybe you start your own business as an undergrad, and we do and look into all the different ways that looks. Again, all these things will vary based on where you are, and that's where the advising comes in.
Great. Along those lines, someone has asked if they're planning on being a dual major, so business and biology, for example. Mm-hmm. How would the honors program interact with class requirements? Would they be required to take all the honors classes for both majors? Sounds like that would be advising, but what would you say in that situation?
Well, again, so many of our honors courses are offered in your shared curriculum requirements. We do have some upper division ones that are offered within majors. And so don't think about it in terms of if you are, say, biology and business, that you need to do a series of honors courses within biology and then a series within business. One of the things about business is that you have to take a professional writing class. And so it's English 211 is the title of it. We have an honors version of that class that incorporates a service learning component. And what we think, and from what we understand from the research and from our professors' standpoints, that service learning component creates a high impact learning experience that is going to have that professional writing requirement in business be even more meaningful and have even deeper impact than other professional writing experiences. So, again, we would try to chart out the best possible plan based on that. If maybe you pick up in the business program a professional writing honors course, and that would be a 3-credit course, and then maybe you're doing undergraduate research with Dr. Putsky or Dr. Cassidy, and you're getting independent study research development there. And again, like it depends on how you want to combine those and what the ultimate goal is, in ways that we would advise.
Yeah. I think you continue to come back to it, and it continues to be something I hear from students all the time, is that the individualized advising and focus on their independent goals is really what sets Whitworth's honors program apart, that this is not a one-size-fits-all honors program. It's designed to help individual students get closer to their own goals.
I mean, the point that I want to emphasize is, and this is what I write in the letter that's sent out to students admitted with honors, is to say, what are your goals 20, 30, 40 years from now? I like to think about people who, I want to say, do you want to win a Nobel Prize in economics? Or do you want to become a superintendent of education? Do you want to maybe get elected to be a senator, or to be the head of the Department of the Treasury? Or do you want to be a physician who also has a PhD in psychology? I mean, whatever it is, whatever big time stuff, how do we sort of then design backwards from there and figure out what you need to do from the first semester here on campus to build a foundation where you can realize those dreams? You may not have those dreams already in place when you first come to college, but we want to introduce those sort of opportunities to you and say, you want to take us up on this? You want to go for it? Well, let's figure out how we can do it, you know? And that's the part I love most about being in the honors program, is dreaming big and thinking about how we can start building a foundation for getting there.
Great, great. Okay, some more questions coming in here. Aside from the international trip, are there other Jan term opportunities specific to honor students?
Yeah, we have offered usually 1 or 2 honors Jan term trips to students, you know, for upper class people. So, but also any off-campus trip we can add honors credit to doing, and this is the one time where you might have a little bit of extra work outside of your course. But generally what that is again, connecting the dots between that off-campus experience and what that classroom is focused on and other elements of a person's educational, the broader sort of liberal arts educational experience. And so one of the really great things about how agile this program is, how flexible it is, you know, whether you want to do a creative project or do research or an independent study, or you are going off campus and it's not necessarily something for an honors designation, in a lot of cases, I won't say all, but in a lot of cases, we can adapt that particular course and honorsify it, if you will, or create honors designations that are consistent with our program and will help you get more out of that experience. And so we have students do that in a lot of different capacities. Again, you can't, you know, change everything into an honors experience, but you can do a lot. And we like to sort of imagine, you know, ways that we can do that.
Great. Okay. If you enter as a freshman, do you have to sign up for honors by a certain time or a certain semester?
We will encourage you to do so, because we believe that we have designed a 4-year program that is fine for transfer students to come into sort of in the middle of and complete. But we know one of the great things about Whitworth is there are going to be tons of opportunities for you to get involved in different ways. If it may not be the honors program, it might be in chapel, or it might be in athletics or music or residence life or other sort of elements of student life. There are so many opportunities to get involved. We in honors want to offer ways for you to develop as to have the best academic experience you have. And we believe that the benefits come when you start as early as possible and you start setting up your trajectory in these specially designed courses that hopefully get you thinking in the larger stakes from the very beginning. A lot of times, if you get involved with other stuff and you sign up later, you can still complete the program, but you've also got a lot of other stuff going on, and that's totally fine. Like we don't think that we do it better than anybody else. We think Whitworth, we just want to offer these things for students who really want to get the most out of that academic experience.
Okay, how quickly do honors floor rooms fill up?
Well, to this point, it's kind of depended a little bit on gender. To this point, we've seen more women showing interest, and they have filled up more quickly. The way that our residence life works is to have, as soon as you submit deposits, you get your housing forms, and they sort of prioritize people based on how, you know, first come, first serve. I don't see those numbers until usually May. Things might have been changed up under the current circumstances. But I think that, you know, we've had strong interest from women early. Men have been a little slower to come around, but I think that that's going to be changing as we continue to show the benefits of being a part of this program. So,
Great.
Yeah.
And I have a bit of access to those numbers. You know, nothing is quite set in stone at this point, but the previous years of the honors residence hall floors, I mean, they've just been so popular, and those students have really thrived in that environment that when other honors potential students have come on campus and met them, they get really excited about the floor. So my guess is, you know, just like with any residence hall that you have your heart set on, the sooner you can fill out that housing form, the better. At this point in the year, we have probably 3/4 of our freshman class already confirmed and decided at Whitworth, but there's a pretty big push toward the end. So if you want to jump in front of that big push for not just the honors residence hall floor, but any of the residence halls, I definitely encourage you to do that, because we are seeing a lot of students are ready and have filled out their form. So as soon as you're ready, or if you want to talk about it with your admissions counselor, definitely reach out in that way. Great. I have a couple more minutes if there are any remaining questions out there. And oh yes, this is a great one, just right along those lines. Is there an honors floor in every residence hall? Maybe Bert, you can speak to where those male and female residence halls are.
Yeah, so we do not. There is only one floor of honors students. It is right now. The numbers are 18 women and 18 men, and they are all in Warren Hall, which is one of the centrally located residence halls. That's right off the loop. And right now we have it set up for. Basically on one wing of this dorm is the women's floor. That I think it's a 3-story residence hall, and one of those floors on one of those wings of 18 students is the women's hall, and then the men's hall is another one of those wings. One of the things that we have done in each of these residence halls is to keep one room unfilled. And in that unfilled room, we create kind of a study room where we invite you to work with us in the honors program to figure out how you want to set that room up. And it's just maybe a little one of the little perks that comes with it. We are trying to come up with other perks, and we invite students to talk with us about what those perks might be. One that we came up with this past year was we added double the printing credits to honors dorm or residence hall people, which, may not mean a lot to you guys before you get to campus, but it turned out to be one of the most highly regarded perks. Again, not something that maybe I, as the honors program director, would have been like, oh yeah, let's give them printing credits. Every Whitworth student wants those. But that's what those students came back and said, you know what, we would really love, and it turned out to be a really great option so that they could print out more things on campus. So yes. That's the kind of experience we want to offer in the residence halls.
Yeah, definitely a perk for sure. Okay, another question. Do people ever decide to pull out of the honors program because they find that it's too much?
Yeah, it involves with any major or minor, honors included, you are welcome to drop and add all the way up until your graduation. You can come in with a major declared and a minor declared, or you can add a major and minor somewhere along the way. You can drop it at any point. Our online, what we call self-service, offers a very helpful guide for you to fill in courses and to plan out your 4 years so that you can satisfy all the requirements. But 4-year college experiences, people go through a lot of changes, and they switch majors, or they try one thing and they want to choose another. We have students who are in the honors program who go through honors specific courses, and they're like, I really want to change majors because of what we've talked about in this honors course. And by all means, if the honors program seems not to be providing what it is that you want out of it, there's no need to try to finish the program. Hopefully you will have benefited from any honors course or honors program experience, but you are certainly welcome to go on and do other things. And that's one of the great things about Whitworth, not just with the honors program, but with all the other courses of study. There's a lot of flexibility in all these different ways.
Okay. Are there certain student attributes that would make someone more or less successful in the honors program? And are there certain majors that are difficult to deal with honors?
Yeah, so there are, those are two great questions. we talk a lot about talented and motivated students within the honors program, like people who really want to get the most out of their academic experience. We talk about having a bias to curiosity. We talk about people who want to work collaboratively, who want to see their education beyond just checking boxes. We have one of my colleagues who works over in the alumni office likes to say, you know, when you graduate from Whitworth, you can think of your degree, the diploma that you get in that folder on graduation day. You can either think of it as a receipt for like all the work that you've done, or you can think of it as a membership card. And I think honors program students are the ones who really take up Whitworth for all of its wealth of resources, not only like on campus with professors and administration and staff and all the different resources that we have, but also the larger Whitworth community, the alumni. One of the things that we do in a specialized course is try to connect undergraduate students with alumni who are sort of maybe 5 years, 10 years, 20 years out ahead of them, who majored in the very things that Whitworth students are majoring in, and are, you know, able to sort of network and make connections too. We have these different career trek opportunities. And it's people who want to, you know, step out and to take those risks, you know, to go be willing to contact an alum who's maybe 20, 30, 40 years older than them and say, how did you get there? Can you, you know, what do I need to do now? Like, what do you, and those connections are really fun to see. And so if you have that bias to curiosity, if you're interested in multiple ideas, or if you're interested in going in really in depth in one particular thing, those are all the attributes that I think that I see that honors program students demonstrate. The second part of that question, Tess, was?
Yeah, are there certain majors that
oh yeah,
would
you
be
know,
more difficult?
Yeah, so some majors like engineering or secondary education require a lot of hours. And so like you'll see there's a lot less flexibility. And that's just a consequence of being a high water, sort of high credit load major. But we still see, like in engineering, there are opportunities to pick up honors credits. You need to satisfy shared curriculum requirements in your general education. And so those are other areas where we encourage you to pick up those requirements. You know, it is, again, like depending on what your major is, you might have ways of fulfilling honors program requirements that don't look the same for everybody else. So we like to think our goal is to offer a program that all students can take and benefit from, whatever their major is. That's a challenge. I don't know that we do it perfectly, but if you come and you challenge us to do it, I'm going to work hard to figure out how to make it work.
Great. Okay, we have a couple minutes left and a couple more questions. This one, maybe I'll try to take a stab at based on what you said earlier, and you can clarify. Do we have statistics on percentages of students that are admitted with honors and then percentages that enter into the honors program? So I think you were right in saying that maybe roughly 100 to 150 students per incoming class are admitted with honors. And then lately it seems like even more and more, but maybe around 40 or 50 of those are truly engaged going in with the honors program. But many might be taking a one-off honors class or going on the Jan term trip or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
Perfect. Great. Okay, this is a great question, a good kind of chance for, I think, you to show yourself as an advisor.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be more beneficial to my education to take pre-made or kind of established honors classes in things that I don't really like, or to take classes that aren't offered with honors sections if they sound more up my alley?
Wow, that would be an ideal conversation to have with you in person. You know, to know, you know, I can speak from my perspective. Like I teach this honors introduction to literature class. It's called Reading in Action. If you're interested in it, I encourage you to sign up for it. It's a lot of fun. But I have students who are, you know, who are future English majors, but also people who are in sociology or in sciences and math. who just happen to kind of like reading, and they need to knock out this culture, a humanities requirement or cultural studies requirement. And I think some of them would say, well, I'm more of a math person, or I'm more of a science person, but I do like reading. And I see that they have, I mean, again, when we get into these different kind of projects, it brings out all these, I mean, the goal in a lot of these classes is to bring together disciplinary expertise from a variety of perspectives. And so you might, like in my intro to literature class, like it's not just about, and it's not just an English class, like it combines history and politics and theory and philosophy. And those students who are in the sciences, I ask them to, in the projects that they develop, to bring in their scientific and mathematical expertise or their sociological expertise. And so I can't promise that that's the way it works in all these different courses, but I definitely think that you'll get, that's one of the things that we really want to push within the honors program is, you know, even if you don't feel as confident about a particular subject, recognize that that course maybe is asking you not just to sort of understand what that discipline is by itself, but to think about how you can connect it back to your disciplinary interests as well. So.
Great. Okay, one last question, and I saved this one just, I think, given our uncertain times to hear your perspective, but I'll also add a little bit. So the question is asking, if Washington State is still in lockdown in September, what will Whitworth and the honors program do education-wise? And I will say we are definitely getting this question a lot. And unfortunately, we don't know the answer because we don't know what will be happening in September. I think it's all of our hope and prayer that the strong social distancing that Washington has been doing will lead to a healthier, safer fall, but we can't know that for sure. Whitworth is continuing to plan at sort of leadership levels and administration levels to plan for many, many different scenarios. And of course, not just our current students, but our prospective students will be informed on that as soon as possible. Right now, our plan is kind of business as usual. That's our hope and what we've been told we might be able to anticipate. But why don't you just kind of go along with that, Bert, that should that be a situation, what do you see the honors program looking like there?
Well, like you, we really want to be meeting in person to do all this advising. It's the way that Whitworth operates well, and you know, we're hoping that gets to be the case. One of the things that, to go back to the kind of orientation of the program, what we're deeply invested in this collaborative, interdisciplinary, public-facing problem solving, is thinking about like how the education we're offering is addressing the problems of the day. I mean, I'm a 19th century Americanist who studies the sort of period from the founding to the end of Reconstruction. And, you know, I could be somebody who is just wanting you to know that history for the purposes of knowing that history, or reading certain literary texts from that period. So you can say you've read Moby Dick, or you've read Uncle Tom's Cabin, or these other really famous American novels. But my deepest investment is like, you know, what do those things help us to understand and negotiate about the problems of today? Like, I mean, in the honors program, we're deeply committed to promoting students to pursue lives as change agents. You know, I had 2 honors courses today, these 1-credit courses we have called Vocation and Excellence. And we were talking about issues that derive specifically from, you know, like how it's adapted completely to how do we address the particular challenges of this moment right now that we're all living through. And so that sort of adaptive educational investment, most of the curriculum we have that involves that collaborative and interdisciplinarity element and the orientation to the public is about trying to address these things. And so even if we're doing this online, we are still going to endeavor to have these high impact learning experiences for students. We want to continue to advise as well as we can. Some things we may not be able to do, like work in a lab together in the sciences, or to do things in the fine arts and creative projects and like an art studio. But at the same time, we're gonna try to be as agile as we can to come up with how being an artist or being a scientist or being an English major or whatever, how we can adapt our learning to the issues of the moment and the future. So hopefully that would be incentive to come and bat around ideas with us in the future.
Definitely. Great. Thank you so much, Bert. And thank
Okay.
you to all of you. I'll hand it over to Quincy if you'd like, Quince.
Great. Thank you, Bert. Thanks, Tess. Guys, thank you for being with us today. We hope you got a lot of your questions answered. If you have more questions popping up, Tess wrote in the chat the email address that you can send those questions to. It's admissions@whitworth.edu. And we'll make sure those questions get to Bert, and he will be able to provide a response for you. We hope you have a great afternoon, and don't forget to tune into any additional webinars that are of interest to you. Thanks for being here today, and we'll see you around. Bye.
Thanks all. Take care. Stay safe.